tell I'm moving at all. Hope it's gonna last. Hope she comes at all. No, it stinks too much. I'm not moving too fast. Hope I got what it takes. Hope it's gonna last. Got friendship with me. It really stings. 25 miles an hour. Going no place. I tripped on a rock.
Welcome to CoinSpice Live. I'm your host, Peter Ryan. We have a great show for you tonight. We just had Kyle S. Gibson on, special musical guest to start the show, with yours truly assisting him in a little guitar action going on there. So, outline of the show, we have Ben Munster of Decrypt Media coming on for our feature interview later in the show, talking about why Bitcoin Core Maxis can't meme, something we all know, but he really gets into the heart of why they're so terrible. We go into crypto media and journalism in general, and it's a really fabulous interview that we go through. We also have a little data, a little number crunching, a little chart discussion we need to have that I'll take us through in a few short moments. So that's coming up. We also have a little brief preview of the Bitcoin Cash City Conference. Just went on. Amazing event. Shout out to Hayden Otto and everyone that participated in hosting. It was remarkable to see the amount of activity in the city in terms of merchant adoption, as well as the fantastic talks that were given from various parties. We had a chance to sit down with some of the speakers, so we'll show you a few clips from there and tell you a little bit more about that. We also have, folks, Dank Meme of the Week. So please go to CoinSpice's Twitter, check out Dank Meme of the Week, submit your meme. You could win Dankest Meme of the Week, and you come on at the end of the show. So make sure you go there, submit that now. You'll be able to find that link in the chat as well. So get the memes out and ready, get them hot. And also, guys, make sure to follow us, smash that subscribe button. Go to all the links in the description below. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter. You can go to our website. You can subscribe to our email newsletter. We got everything, guys. Don't have to worry. And if you're feeling up to it, we got tipbitcoin.cash. You can see the link right below me. You can also see it in the description. If you go there, you can actually use Bitcoin, tip me, and your message will show up on screen so you can be part of the show. Who doesn't want to be part of the show? So definitely do that if you feel the itch to jump in and want to hear your voice through the screen. All right, guys, so let's get into it. So we have a little thing that went on that we'll go over here. And we have in our article by C. Edward Kelso, top crypto tweets of the week. This is a series that we have, so everybody please keep on the lookout for these, where we round up all the spicy content on Twitter for you in one place so you never miss it. One of the most spicy things, or perhaps salty than spicy, that came out this week in that regard was an analyst known as Zach Vull from infamous history of the crypto Twitterverse. He was the lad that seduced CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, to come in and potentially ban the @Bitcoin Twitter handle. Well, that's not all he does. He is also an analyst at Messari, noted data provider for crypto analytics. And he was coming out with a little research report here, a little chart that everybody seemed to gravitate towards. It says Bitcoin Cash versus Lightning. 1 year comparative network activity seems to show one scaling solution growing significantly faster than the other. Obviously, the comparison is imperfect, but these data are still telling. And it goes on to his article at Messari that he links, but this is the chart that's getting everybody all hot under the collar. So what do we see here, guys? We see 12-month comparison. September 6th this was taken. And he's showing with Bitcoin Cash here, everything's down. Transaction count, transaction volume, returns denominated in BTC, active addresses. Then we look over at Lightning Network and we see active channels per node, total nodes, unique channels, network capacity in BTC. And those are all up, not only up, but 189%, over 200%, and then up here 738%. So clearly Zach is just showing how great and wonderful Lightning Network is compared to Bitcoin Cash. Here's the thing, guys. There's a problem. This isn't exactly objective research. This isn't exactly, how you should go about trying to bring analytics out and report to the community how things are doing. We all perhaps have our preferences, but if we're in the position and if we're in roles as more sort of journalists and to a degree data intense journalists, objectivity should be a measure that everyone seeks to attain, and finding ways to remove bias is very important. And so what he does here that perhaps is the problem is two key areas. One, the date is a problem. He's picking just a date out of, the thin air and trying to make that the end all be all discussion of, how these networks growing. So right off the bat, we know this is erroneous because everybody can cherry pick a date that is suitable to their narrative and can produce statistics that suit that. And this is super problematic because then, who's right? And the only way to really judge that is if we have more, standardized, like monthly reporting, quarterly reporting. If we show, every single month, every single quarter, if we show multiple trends and multiple timelines, this is how we should be comparing data. And it's really sort of cheap to kind of just try to focus in on one little date window and then make that comparison the end all be all for you to go out and have like a little gloating punditry dance out there on Twitter to sort of convey to the world that, look how bad Bitcoin Cash is and look how great Lightning Network is, because that's really the point here. It's not, hey, we're just reporting the numbers, balls and strikes. This is, hey, we're trying to push forward a narrative. And this is where we saw some people comment. If we go back, we can see our boy Colin Enstead, everybody. Please follow Colin. He's coming in. He's talking about how, what, did you just cherry pick a stress test day from a year ago and then claim the transaction count is down over 90% in 12 months later? Colin also had a little rendition of his own chart to show the caliber that he thought the Messari analyst was putting out. So kudos to Colin there. I did a little background research myself. Like I said, I don't really love the comparison that Zach made, but for the sake of debate, I said, do you know what? I'll do exactly what he did. You know, I don't love the way he did it, but let me just do exactly what he did, and I'm going to change one thing. I'm going to change the date. So what I did was do year to date, so January 1st, 2019 to September 6th, 2019. And this is the picture that we get. Huh. Wow, that's pretty different. How about that, guys? One, we see this is Zach's original, and we go down here and we see this is my updated version. So what we actually see overwhelmingly is, wow, Bitcoin Cash is actually the one that's doing a little bit better here. Not only a little better, but if you look over here in terms of transaction count, year to date, Bitcoin Cash is 691% up, everybody. As well as active addresses being up 175% compared to Lightning Network with, 8% down in terms of average channels per node, and then, more meager growth numbers in comparison. What's also interesting to note here is that, these are more varied in terms of, okay, yeah, the returns are down over here. These are a little up and down, not great. There's differences. And so this even is more objective on the face of it than this. It's almost like, did you pick something that was deliberately, had everything up over here on this side and everything down on that side? So already we can start to see that. And when we look closer, we can see the second problem that arises. So we talked about the date. And so guys, what is the second problem that arises? It is the fact that blockchains are hard to compare and contrast. So, when you're talking about Bitcoin Core, when you're talking about Ethereum, when you're talking about Bitcoin Cash, Tron, all these different types, it is very difficult to actually find some apples to apples versus apples to orange comparisons going on, because there's different use cases, there's different incentive structures, there's different economics and different tech that goes into each that sort of puts them in their own category with their own specific metrics. So what the second problem here is that you can't exactly compare transaction count on Bitcoin Cash to anything that's on Lightning Network. It's difficult because there is actually no equivalent to transaction count on the Lightning Network. We have things like nodes, we have things like channels, we have things like capacity locked up, where these are things that are not blockchainy. These are things that are Lightning Networky. And so off the bat, it's sort of like, how exactly should we even be putting these side by side? It seems like that's erroneous. And so we come down to the conclusion that the presentation that was given by Zach was, one, it cherry-picked dates, and two, it compared apples to orange metrics when it comes to Bitcoin Cash and Lightning Network. So this is the problem when kind of just glazing your eyes at sort of statistics, charts, reports that come out from authoritative sources, although they may appear, and just sort of taking it because, hey, there's some authority behind this, so I guess they're doing their due diligence and they're doing a fair shot at this. And so the casual person is going to come across this chart and have like a very distorted image of what's going on. But then again, if you go down here at the same exact thing, you actually see different story, folks. So always do a little extra research, find out if the people are actually being unbiased or biased, and avoid biased sources. This is what I say over here. I had an opportunity to sit down with Jamie Redman at the Bitcoin.com news, and we went over some stuff. I talked about how you should avoid certain publications like that. I give Masari a lot of credit. They're doing a lot of good stuff when it comes to having data at your fingertips across multiple cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of stuff out there, and it's hard to actually find that all in one place. But as I go into here, there's really problematic stuff. when it comes to kind of putting this out here, the only metrics I mentioned here that are perhaps comparable that you could make some assessment is maybe looking at Lightning Network nodes and Bitcoin Cash active addresses, because they are rough proxies for sort of number of users. Although caveats, assumptions, footnotes, asterisks that go along with that. But if you look here, as of today, Bitcoin Cash has about 40,000 active addresses compared to about 5,000 nodes on Lightning. So this is where you definitely want to be wary of just seeing, again, random statistics, random charts on Twitter, and kind of making conclusions off of that. And in this fun back and forth that happened in the battle of the charts, we challenged yours truly at CoinSpice, Zach, to a debate to talk about the merits of Bitcoin Cash as a scaling solution and the Lightning Network for Bitcoin Core. Unfortunately, Zach declined. It would have been a great showing. We were going to do it on Tom Shaughnessy's podcast as a neutral platform, because we're all about objectivity and neutrality. That's what we're about. And Zach, unfortunately, did not want to defend his assertion, his claim, with his chart that he threw out there. So maybe a little encouragement is all that he needs. I'm sure he's a good sport. So everyone, hey, maybe throw him a little encouragement. He's a great guy. Going forward, folks. Let's get back to it. So go check that out. CoinSpice.io, top crypto tweets of the week. We always come out with these. We check out the spicy stuff that goes on. You can see here a lot of great tweets that are coming out. And you can, you don't have to scour a bunch of noise in your feed. You can just come here, get the signal. So that's awesome there. I also want to highlight, while we're here, our podcast. Everybody, we have a great podcast hosted by our editor-in-chief, C. Edward Kelso. And he's been pumping out the interviews lately with the likes of Joey King, talking about his dividends for SLP calculator at Bitcoin.com. Check that out. He really gets into why those are so important. Then we have Leah Kuhn from CoinDesk, a journalist there, talking about Bitcoin in Gaza, how Palestinians are finding financial refuge versus mainstream terrorism. And that is an awesome thing to show how people in conflict zones are using cryptocurrency to better themselves. We also have Sal Mayweather, a noted memester, talking about educating BTC maximalism on economics and expanding memes. So awesome podcast, highly recommend. And then most recently, we have the Cheap Air founder coming on to talk about Bitcoin in commerce. So stellar lineup of podcasts, guys. Go check that out. If you're at the gym, if you're commuting in your car, you're taking a little jog, whatever you're doing, throw on the podcast, sit back, relax, have C. Edward Kelso's voice soothe you into spicy information. All right, so that is that, folks. We are going to be right back after this short break. CoinSpice, brought to you by Socks.
Teach me about fucking style. Teach me about fucking stars.
All right, we are back. We just had a commercial there for our wonderful lineup of apparel that you can find in the CoinSpice merch store. You can find socks, t-shirts, dank t-shirts. Check that out. Make sure to style yourself in everything spice. Next, we're going to show you a little preview of the Bitcoin Cash City Conference. Remarkable event that just went on in Townsville, Australia. One of the most active, engaged cryptocurrency communities perhaps in the world. They're also just announced that they're going to launch a $50 million funded technology park devoted to Bitcoin Cash in that area. So crazy stuff that's just super exciting going on out of there. And so with this conference, they had a host of speakers from Amari Sase to Vin Armani to Josh Ellithorpe to Chris Passia. So many people, so many talks talking about all the progress being made, where we are, where we're going, where we've been. And CoinSpice was there. We had a chance to sit down with some folks, and it was really amazing. So we're going to be coming out with more interviews. You can find it in our YouTube channel. You can find it on the site. You definitely also go to the Bitcoin Cash City Conference YouTube channel, see the full-length talks there. So we're going to show you a little preview of Josh Ellithorpe, a developer at Coinbase, who also works on a lot of side projects going on with Bitcoin Cash. He's going to talk to us a little bit why, Bitcoin is so innovative. So here we go.
And we're talking about money. Money is a tool that can be used by a wide variety of participants. And if you have a very homogenous group that is using the money, it's not money yet. Money is supposed to be for people that disagree and have different ways of looking at it, different interests in what they want to do. It's a tool to allow for value transfer, not to have an opinion as to what that value transfer is or what the tools, like what services they need. It needs to be for everyone. It's supposed to be a permissionless network where everyone can participate. So one person may just want to be able to store some value because they can't use the financial system and they need to store $3 because that's what they have per month. And then there's other people that have lots of money that want to do financial service trading. Great. It needs to be available to everyone or you haven't hit the goal of true peer-to-peer cash.
All right, so we had a little audio technical difficulty there. Whoops. So anyway, guys, we were just talking about how we were just talking about how we were just talking about how Josh Ellithorpe just presented there. It was a great interview. It was moderated by Calvin Tran. He's our guy down under talking about crypto and had a great conversation with all 4 guests there. So please go to our YouTube channel, check out the full interview to see everything they talked about. It was really amazing. And we also have a special Thursday show with Cameron Lee, who gave a presentation and was at the conference to talk everything that happened and what his experience with the local community there was. Great guy, and we'll talk about all things crypto industry in general. So put on your calendar Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern for that very special interview. So we got that going. And in addition, the next up on the list, guys, is Ben Munster of Decrypt Media. We're about to jump into an interview with him. He comments and writes and reports about the industry. One of his recent articles was Bitcoin Maximalists Can't Meme. He takes some shots. He pokes some fun. He definitely spicy flavor coming out of that article. So I suggest everyone go check that article out. But we get into why he wrote that, what his thoughts are, what are his thoughts, about crypto journalism and how he thinks about all these different tribes and where the industry is. So we're about to jump to that. I just want to go into the chat right now, guys, and see how you're doing. What have you think of the show so far? We got some peppers. We got some fantastic fans here. Everybody make sure to subscribe, make sure to like everything. And guys, make sure that you submit to the dank meme of the week. If you go to CoinSpice Twitter handle, you'll be able to find that. And if you submit, you will have the privilege of being the dankest meme of the week on the show that I'll announce at the end of the show after the interview. So please submit to there. All right, guys, so we're about to jump into the interview. Sit back, relax, and here is Ben Munster. All right, we are here with Ben Munster of Decrypt Media. We're talking about his recent articles, all things crypto media, and just jamming away. See where this interview goes. How you doing today?
Yeah, good. Very good. Yourself?
Doing good, doing good. I think we'll have a very fruitful conversation about one of your recent articles that you came out with a little while ago, talking about Maximalists Can't Meme, likes the disturbing dialectic. So you wrote this in reaction to a lot of craziness that was going on. So can you speak to why you wrote this, what was the impetus, and sort of what the reaction to your article was?
It's pretty basic. It's just they were talking about, oh, sorry, what's that? They were going on about memeing, memeing Bitcoin to the moon. There was like this presentation that was going around. And it was kind of trolling. It was kind of jokey, wasn't it? But at the same time, everyone was taking it very seriously. So you have people like Rochard describing it as part of a kind of Hegelian dialectic, which is kind of absurd. And that the way they framed this presentation just kind of cut at the core of the problem with not these people, but with the kind of maximalist movement, which is that, that essentially they've kind of descended into sort of unreflective extremism, but they're dressing this up as trolling, but it's not trolling. They're kind of, I mean, I don't want to use alarmist language, but they're trying to radicalize people. I don't think it's a threat because, like, what the worst a radical Bitcoin maximalist can do is just, like, read the Bitcoin Standard and tweet about, like, roast beef or whatever. But, I mean, I just found it very disingenuous. And most of all, it's because their memes are not very good. It's the fact that they're talking about their outreach program as if, like, this is what's going to draw in the normies. And looking at it from a macro perspective, it's just quite shit. Not very funny.
Yeah, so
you know what? Scrap everything I just said. It's just that the memes are shit.
That's it. Now, do you think they themselves are radicalized?
What?
Do you think they themselves are radicalized, or
I mean, radicalized,
like the inner clique that is radicalizing the, like, Johnny come lately night?
Just radicalizing each other more and more and more. You know, it's kind of circle jerk. They're not really. Well, that's the point. Okay, so that's the point. So it's like they're talking about this genius outreach program, but, like, what's really happening is they're just bouncing memes around their echo chamber, right? They're radicalizing each other more and more and more. So it's a kind of self-reinforcing, it's a feedback loop where they all see each other's memes and then they kind of think that everyone else is looking at them. But no one is. No one cares. Their outreach program goes about as far as the people who know of them but also dislike them. And then it's not like, okay, so you've got Warren Davidson talking about shitcoins, but the only people who actually cared about that were the Bitcoiners again. So again, trickles back down to the core group. And it's not like the New York Times was reporting on Warren Davidson saying shitcoin. He's basically just part of that group. And again, it's just bouncing around. And it's not really slipping into mainstream consciousness in the way they think it is. Like, it's almost like a bubble. It's an echo chamber that's trying not to be an echo chamber desperately.
Do you think that differs among other coin communities? Because you reference, like, Ethereum maximalists and some other folks later on in your article. So do you think this is all just part of sort of the crypto echo chambers, or is there something distinct that is different with these BTCers?
Well, so their whole thesis, the difference between them and Ethereum people is Ethereum people, you know, they don't rule out everything else. Bitcoin people, it's almost, what they're doing is they're presenting Bitcoin as the only option, and they've dressed it up. They've dressed up what's essentially an investment thesis with all of this kind of throwback Austrian economics ideology to justify it. Well, I guess more broadly, the thing about Bitcoin is nobody really understands what it's supposed to be used for. So stuff like Ethereum, you can ask Vitalik, he'll say what it's used for. Even Chainlink, you can say what it's for. But Bitcoin's kind of emptiness as a concept allows anyone to put whatever ideology they want into it. And ideology just means sales pitch. I mean, like, if I'm a snake oil salesman and I want to tell people, if I want to make my investment go up, I've got 500 different options of what I can tell them. So I can tell the Argentinians it's censorship resistant. I can tell the Wall Street people it's a store of value. I can tell the cypherpunks that it's censorship resistant. Whatever I want to imbue it with, I can do that. And then whoever I'm talking to will hopefully buy in and then number go up, you know?
Yeah, I definitely see that. So you end this article by saying, but the maximalists are by far the worst. Nothing can now save them from their unreality. I think that's a interesting choice of words there. They're fully deluded, and now they're trying their hand at comedy.
Not really well written, that part, actually. Should have been delusional. Deluded isn't really a word. Not really an adjective. There's one of my many regrets.
We'll work with it. We'll make it flow. But yeah, so you definitely hit that nail on the head that the maximalists are by far the worst, distinct from some of the other groups. And like you were saying, they have this sort of emptiness, this hollowness that they need to fill with all this other bell and whistle, la la land stuff. So, but you do see that in other groups. I mean, you see that. I mean, there's ETH things that you can find comparable. There are, I mean, like, you know, there's XRP stuff. Maybe not as like Austrian economic, like magic fairy dust creation, but there's a lot of hopium that goes around. So,
well, XRP is another one. I mean, it's if you just were to look at it, if you were to, someone were to send you the specs on a GitHub or something, you were to look at it, you wouldn't be like, that's going to solve cross-border trading. But Ripple, the company, which was gifted it or whatever, it needs a reason. It needs a reason to be selling it, right, and to be plugging it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just the crafting of use cases, kind of cynically, which I find quite annoying. In a way, it's redolent of Hegel's dialectic. So obviously, the Bitcoiners represent the thesis, the original idea, you know.
Okay.
Endemic in society, and then in a way you could almost say that what I wrote was the antithesis, and hopefully together we'll strive to find a synthesis and create some kind of harmony where we compromise. Maybe the no coiners and the Bitcoiners find a midway investment that they can all waste money on.
You're all on the same team.
We're all on the same team. We all want to make money. We all just want to be rich.
That's the only thing going on here.
I do wonder though, because why am I not shilling Bitcoin? Because I could have made like at least like 30 grand this year if I'd invested in it. And I mean, the thing is they're right. You know what I mean? Like they're right in that number is going up and it keeps going up. And like in the short term, if all of us, like, I'm not even going to call myself a no coiner because like, it's like marginalizing 99.999% of all people. But like people who aren't like rabid maximalists, I think they're the people they kind of paint as no coiners, right? If you're not a member of like an avowed member of ISIS, right?
That was very clear. There's the free coiners, the Bitcoiners, and the no coiners. No coiners are the people that have seen the inner ritual and ceremony and still decided to go against Bitcoin or not partake in the Kool-Aid.
Pre-coiners is the one I really don't like. That makes me think of the normies being ushered into the re-education camp.
Yes,
I mean,
that is how they view it.
I feel kind of sick.
They are.
You know what? I'm happy with them calling
soft, mushy skulls.
Right, exactly. The plainclothes civilians being marched into the Cybermen conversion facility where the fucking chainsaws descend from the ceiling and insert chips into their brains. That's kind of what I get from it. I mean,
and I almost see it more as it's sort of that right-wing meme of that, like the communist slow march through the institution of, you know, they see it as first they need to like get hold of the educational system, and then they educate the youth, and then they don't actually have to convince anybody if they actually have the youth indoctrinated by the time they become adults. So we talked about that specifically, but you know, we were commenting sort of now about general crypto media. How about for like the folks at home that aren't exactly too keen on who you are, what Decrypt is? Why don't you just give a little bit of a background, how you got into crypto and what Decrypt is?
It's like we started off wanting to be kind of like wired, so sort of more a bit like Breaker as well, like kind of higher level journalism that was written more in an explanatory way to people on the outside. But we had kind of got sucked down the rabbit hole a little bit. So now we're kind of more like, I don't know how would you describe us? I don't really know what we are to people, to be honest, because we kind of have a broad range. Like
you definitely
sometimes like pretty straight news. I mean, we cover like price action and stuff as well. I mean,
you're not like Reuters. That's like, you're not a stuffed shirt.
Sober, fact-free.
Yeah. Although like that's not like a diss at all to like the quality of the journalism, just that there's more flavor that I get out of your content, and more, like obviously, like if you go to your website, you got your news, but then you have the learn section. There's obviously like evergreen content that's different. You have sort of these categories like profiles. There's definitely something here that's unique, that I wouldn't classify as just like, this is your headlines for the day, and then that will be thrown and disposed of for tomorrow. There's definitely something that's a little bit more lasting and of nutritious quality, but yeah, with that flavor. But let's read your about section. Let's get that and see how you think about
Read my what?
description. The about section of Decrypt, the website.
Oh no, don't read that. Don't read that.
Okay.
Well, it's I don't know. It's kind of generic. No, I don't want to say that. Can't
It's just simply with a simple mission, quote unquote, to demystify the decentralized web. So do you think that still is what you guys have done?
Yeah, I mean, demystify can mean anything, right?
Yeah. And also, like, it's not just
You could argue that we demystified Dudas. We demystified the maximalists.
Sure.
Or we remystified Dudas. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know if I've done good. I don't know if I've made the world a better place. Maybe I made it a worse place, Maybe my maximalist article, maybe there were people who are maximalists and it hurt them.
Well, demystifying, actually, it's not clear that is a positive goal.
What?
The act of demystifying.
You think maybe it should remain mystified because people shrouded in darkness?
Yeah, are you familiar with Krista Rose, Bitcoin Uncensored?
Who's that?
Krista Rose. He's the podcast host of Bitcoin Uncensored.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so I would think, I'll speak for him a little bit. I would imagine he would say there's a quality to mystery that is beneficial, and too much demystification can actually hurt things.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. I would say that we've cooled it on the demystifying a bit. Because actually, one thing that's interesting is so we started, basically, we wanted to write about this stuff in the hope that we would become a mainstream magazine, not a niche trade publication. But crypto sucks you in, and then no light escapes. No offense, but you're not going to get New York Times readers watching CoinSpice, are you? Ever, probably. And that's what I think about this.
One day.
That's what I think about this industry. They're all building this stuff, and it's all incredible, and there's loads of money going around, and there are loads of really talented people and whatever, but they're all just building it for themselves. I've just made this great new MakerDAO, MakerDAO, or I've made this great new micro investing app or something. I mean, that's just for other Bitcoiners. All the stuff they're building just compounds the kind of nicheness of it.
Yeah, there really hasn't been an organic user group that is actually found here. It's everyone that's just they're sort of in crypto first, and then they become a user. But it's never the other way around. There's never somebody that just so happens to be using an app because it's useful for them in any sort of thing. I guess the counter argument you would have from either crypto coin would be, oh, well, first we need to have the big institutions adopt us, and then stability, anti-volatility, blah, 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 pixie dust, and then, mass adoption will happen. So do you think there's something to that, or is that wishful thinking?
Institutional investors.
Well, not just them throwing money at it, but also just hey, if a financial firm uses Ethereum smart contracts to conduct things they do behind the scenes that no one on the front end actually knows about, is that the end goal that we all want to get to.
Oh, no one knows about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from my perspective, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, if I mean, Circle Payments app used to use blockchain, didn't it? And I didn't know, and I didn't care, and I didn't care even a few months ago before it sunsetted or whatever. But I mean, I guess for the Bitcoiners, no, because they want the price to go up. I mean, if HSBC is using Ethereum to manage back office functions, will the price go up? Are they going to be using Ether? Probably not. I mean, there are apps like Congo, which are funded by which are part of the Ethereum ecosystem or whatever, and they're actually built on separate blockchains. They don't even, and these are the ones that are actually being used by institutions. But there's no gas or ETH or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think part of the ultimate goal from the Bitcoiners' point of view too is, okay, so there's the institutions, but it's also, once everyone allocates 2% of their investment portfolio into this because they were told to, then we'll suddenly all be in this magic utopia. But there does seem to be like a cart before the horse thing going on there. Like you can't just tell somebody that something is valuable and thus it will be valuable. It's missing a step.
It's like, so technical analysis, right?
Yes.
The reason that actually kind of works in crypto is because it reduces markets to raw psychology when there's no fundamentals, right? So there's not really much actual substance or use case going on. You can reduce the value of crypto to raw crowd psychology. So the value of most of these coins, is the value of the price, right? Is the price. The price is driven by, it's just what people think it's worth. Because there's no intrinsic value. You can't discern any intrinsic value in I don't know, Deep Onion or whatever, or Jesus coin. They're still trading, and they're worth what they're worth, not because Jesus coin, unless it's probably worth 0.0001 cents or whatever. It's not worth that because Jesus coin has any inherent value. It's worth that because fucking a robot is wash trading it, and that's what it's worth. That's the true meaning of it. But that still counts as something, just because it's a robot. I mean, obviously the fact that a robot
start the robot up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we are our own little inner circle, I guess you can say, with the Bitcoin Cash crew.
I'm starting to turn to you guys. I'm starting to seem more chill. I don't know, because I don't think I've never really heard of Roger Ver talking about Austrian economics or any of that.
Oh, he's definitely
Is he into that?
Austrian economics level for sure, but he doesn't go to the I don't know if you're familiar with the Ayn Rand cultish behavior. That's what this Nakamoto Institute, Michael Goldstein, Pierre Rochard, that's what they all seem like. Back in the day, Ayn Rand had a literal cult of her ideology, objectivism, and there was certain things going on with she was a 50-year-old, 60-year-old woman sleeping with dudes that were yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. Not saying that's happening in the Nakamoto Institute, but there's this similar level of cultish devotion to sort of this economic ideology that just isn't apparent. You can ideas. I mean, how many people? I mean, Alan Greenspan liked, Austrian economic-ish. So you can be mainstream, practical, pragmatic, and still find these ideas compelling. But I
don't know. How can you? I mean, have you not seen? Have they not seen BioShock? Have they not played BioShock? I mean, have you played BioShock?
I have not. That's probably why. This is the issue. No one's played BioShock and Bitcoin Cash.
But
no, but I think there's a.
It's just weird. As an English person,
Sure.
I've basically been brainwashed growing up to just think of Ayn Rand as objectively bad.
Sure.
I'd always been told she was like the Hitler of philosophers, just really shit. And it's really weird coming into this space and hearing everyone talking about how like she's fucking Socrates, like she's a genius. I always thought, I mean, I didn't even know her ideas. That just shows how ill-educated I am. All I knew was like individualism, Atlas Shrugged, something, and Bioshock. Like I thought it was something about. I thought she must have written about a kind of underwater city in the 40s with like little girls possessed by demons and.
Yeah, I mean, most of like her. I mean, like it's weird. She was like sort of the 50 Shades of Grey of her day, and somehow that turned into like an economic, religion. I don't find her like. I don't know why she is such of a stalwart of, you could say, right wing or libertarian thinking.
Have you read any of her stuff?
Yeah, I think I don't like it.
What did you read?
Atlas Shrugged, Fountainhead. Again, like I just
read much more than I have, right?
Yeah, I don't find it.
Myself.
It doesn't grab me. It grabs me like, reads like 50 Shades of Grey more than.
Right. I don't trust any philosopher who's a shitty writer. Although, actually, most of them are. So.
Yeah, but this is where, to circle back, I'd say you could probably describe the Bitcoin Cash people as maybe the pragmatic libertarians. You could say they are sort of. I mean, there's some people that are idealistic for sure, that maybe have some of that overlapping idiosyncrasy that you see in some of the Bitcoin maximalists. But at the same time, there is this sort of, let's get people to use the Bitcoin network as a value transfer tool rather than like, it's not about the native asset. It's about the fact that you can push money through. And I like to describe often that no one talks about in Venezuela, like that story as a time capsule, there was inflation and there was some uptick in local Bitcoin trading and people were using Bitcoin through anecdotal stories and there were miners and things like that in Venezuela. At the same time, like the implicit coverage that all the media did about it was sort of confirming, they're buying it because it's a store of value, because like they want to hedge against their local domestic currency into Bitcoin. But I find that no one actually dug deeper to indicate whether were they actually like hedging and like, they were like buying into fucking Rothbard, or was this something that they were doing to be like, okay, the US is sanctioning our country and like tons of businesses and other money services. We're going to like get Bitcoin, move our money out of Venezuela. And then I'm going to like get my uncle to cash it out in Colombia. And we're going to convert it to another fiat at some point. And so really like the only reason there was an uptick in Bitcoin adoption or any crypto was just because people were using it as a value transfer tool, not because it was some store value investment.
Well, they're not using fucking Lightning Network wallet to buy like coffee in Venezuelan Starbucks.
No.
Yeah. But what do you think of the DeFi people? I mean, I think they're insane. I mean, like, what do they think? Some like Argentinian peasant is going to stake ether on a fucking collateralized, what's it called? Collateralized debt position and like generate DAI.
Yeah, there's certainly a weird synthesis you guys got going on over there at like the ETH crowd, where there is that like enterprise Ethereum alliance meme, and you guys have a ton of like front end app developers, and now that's like mixed into this like weird high level financial derivatives, but they're like super user friendly or something. Like that's the goal.
Super user unfriendly.
But like
they want to be friendly.
The intention is to be like, we're going to democratize, we're going to bring financial instruments to the peasant.
Right, exactly. So
yeah.
The thing is like, so I'm actually kind of left wing. So like,
sure.
I'm more of the school of people who want to destroy capitalism. So it's interesting seeing crypto people who want to not only not destroy capitalism, they want it so that some dude in a swamp in fucking Congo can invest in Apple stocks. Like they want capitalism to creep into every nook and cranny, They want it to spread it.
Yes.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? Is that what you want? You want some dude in like some like witch doctor in the Amazon to be able to derivatives trade or something. Is that a good world?
I don't want to. I'm not like ready to like stop that. If somebody wants to do that, I'm more of a let 1,000 flowers bloom. I would say like where I would like to spend my time is some more things that are probably closer to home, things that are maybe a little bit more maybe less foreign. Like for instance, I think there is some value in. There was actually this demonstration in Hong Kong that was aided by. What ended up happening was a bunch of Bitcoin Cash people got together and were like donating water bottles and umbrellas to all the protesters. So like tear gas, and so you got to like get the water in your eyes. And on the water bottles there was a QR code where people could like donate Bitcoin Cash back in, so you could just restock for the next day. So depending on how actually, how much good is that actually doing? I think for things like that, like that's where I think like the X factor is, or like where I would want to spend my time. If there's somebody that wants to go out to like, the middle of nowhere and get, a peasant farmer on, a financial derivative and a smart contract, God bless them, they can do that. But I find there needs to be this, like, where is the highest like impact that can happen here for like this tool? If like we want people to use this, and like the idea is there's some idealistic, non-capitalistic urge from us to get this thing out there, but at the same time, there's like a capitalist infrastructure around it to actually make money. I think those things can be brought together in these instances to actually like make real change. So if like there's a protester in Hong Kong, if there's someone that's, getting off of, ways of transacting or a bank or something, they'll be able to still partake in modern finance. So that's where I see it. But again, if somebody wants to do, the other stuff there, let 1,000 flowers bloom.
You just do what you want. I don't care. I don't want to stop anyone from having fun. Sell a little Bitcoin, like radicalize all of the normies. Just
who knows?
Call it on Twitter, just call it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the reason I got pissed off, to go back to where we started at the what was it? Fucking Bitcoin, the meme thing was because they were attacking journalists, and I'm a journalist, so well, arguably. And whenever anyone attacks journalists, it's like, oh, they're fascists, right? There's just this like fortress of opinion, and they don't like anyone looking into it. All the journalists have to subscribe to what they believe in. Otherwise, they're not real journalists. They're like normies or like mainstream people. It's like, and you see this a lot. They always ridicule mainstream media journalists. Like, oh, they're so quaint. They don't know about our really weird subculture. And it was kind of the thing about bullying journalists. Like,
yeah. It's
not so much the bullying. It's just such a good representation of their mindset, Like anyone who wants to ask inconvenient questions. Like, so I've seen them actually. They've actually posted videos where they're like, some Bitcoiners might not like this, but I've got an unpopular opinion. And it's like, UTXOs should have a different, or like it's some, some obscure opinion about the mempool or something, where it doesn't actually mean anything. It's like just a really, really kind of lame, unpopular opinion. You get people like Pomp will say unpopular opinion. Bitcoin scarcity is actually a benefit, where really all they're doing is reaffirming things they all agree on. Or at best, they're saying something so uncontentious that they're not actually deviating from the norm. But when you actually deviate from the norm past that threshold, then you're immediately like an infidel, which is like the Stalinist purges. The Stalinists used to all fundamentally agree on the same thing. Like Trotsky, fucking Nikolai Bukharin, what's he called? Stalin. They all communists, but Trotsky and Bukharin had slightly different theoretical understandings of how communism should work, right? So Stalin killed them for that. Not because they were actually fighting against him, just because they had those like nuances in their own understandings. And he was like meant to be the philosophical god or whatever. It was his opinion that was meant to be the one that would kind of trickle down to the masses, whatever. So anyone who disagreed with him was basically an infidel, and he had them killed. And there's a quote, I can't remember who it was, which is like, the revolution judges in the name of the truth that is about to make true. So it kind of makes sense. From that perspective, it makes sense if you're trying to start a revolution to purge all the non-believers, because you're trying to make something true. And you're judging in the name of something that you want to be real. And by judging, you make it real. I mean, I don't like Stalinist purges. Like, it's effective, but fuck that.
You were saying, just to wrap this up, I guess, you were saying that you're interested in the Bitcoin Cash group. So like, what is it about like that has sparked your interest?
No, you just seem like nicer people.
Okay. That's it. There's no grand economic or investment thesis.
There's like I wrote like a 4,000 word piece on Bitcoin Cash last year. It was meant to be like the definitive story. It was pretty shit. It was not good. Honestly, it was like one of the worst things I did.
What was your takeaway? What was the takeaway there?
Poor people. My takeaway was that we have to read it.
This is January 1st, 2019, coin of the year, Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I got it up here. Let's see it. Conclusion is, Bitcoin Cash at this point in its early history exposes an inconvenient truth in Bitcoin's decentralized politics. Power accrues only to those who can foot the electricity bill. That has a very echoing truth to it.
Today, because if I was to go on real podcasts, like, sorry,
Sir, we have 100 viewers right now. Come on.
If I was to go on another
this is literally the top Bitcoin live stream. Come on.
If I was to go on like Peter McCormack's podcast, he'd ask me a question. I'd have to answer it coherently. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
You're trying to argue now that Peter McCormack is coherent?
I'm actually, he's a great friend of mine, so I can't slag it.
You have the English connection, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. I've got him on Telegram. Yes. I wouldn't want him to see me insulting him. That's what we
used to be cool.
That's what we call access journalism. When people don't speak their minds because they're scared of not being able to access subjects anymore.
Do you find that?
I don't. Well, I've got a weird talent, and I don't understand how, where I can insult people and they still like me. So what I wrote about Dudas, I mean, really, he should have sued me. He probably could have claimed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of damages. Billions even, probably. But like, I don't know, my one talent as a journalist is like, oh my god, wait a sec. Sorry, Dudas just messaged me right now. What the fuck? He has never messaged me. Hang on.
Dudas is on the line. What does he say?
Oh no!
I'm suing you.
This is hilarious. Wait.
Anyway, So we just had a interruption because the hashtag Justice for Dudas campaign had to get in touch with Ben Munster to talk about an important development that had to be taken care of right away. Unfortunately, we can't go into details, but we will have vital information coming out about Justice for Dudas very soon, very soon. But we just had Ben on the show. Great interview. Covered a lot of ground there. And talked about why BTC maximalism is bad. Can't meme. We can meme. Speaking of memes, let's go to the dank meme of the week. So we have here, guys, the submission. So let's go through. We have Shift Poe, our guy, Shift Poe, talking about, okay. Then we have Nate Henderson. Ooh, okay, going up, classic. We have Cornholio the Great. Ooh, double meaning. And then we have Decentralized. Okay, once again, guys, GIFs are not memes. So we just saw the lineup, and guys, we are going to decide right now who's it going to be, and we are giving it to Nate Henderson. Dank meme of the week. Let's give it. Dankest. Oh, whoops. There we go. Dankest meme of the week. Great job, Nate. Fire content. All right. So we had a great show. We went over the interview with Ben. We went over what's going on at the Bitcoin Cash City Conference. We got another interview with Cameron Lee coming up on Thursday for that, as well as some great socks in our merch store by our lovely model, Don Wanton. And we had a very special musical guest in the beginning of the show, Kyle S. Gibson. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. And we talked about how Mr. Zach Vole needs to get better at his charting. And if, hey, you want to encourage him to do a little debating about the merits of Lightning versus Bitcoin Cash as a scaling solution, maybe make your voice heard. Guys, what do you think of the show? What are you saying in the chat? How's it going? How was my Ayn Rand opinion? Nate Henderson, she was a philosopher because she couldn't make it as a housewife. Ooh, ouch. Okay. We have a lot of great comments in there. Guys, make sure to share this on Twitter. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Make sure to hit us up at our email newsletter. And make sure you smash that subscribe button and never miss any CoinSpice content. All right, guys, stay spicy.
Classical antiquity, that the earth is within your point in a vast